Hey, and welcome back, all you cheesers, to the Locked On Brewers podcast, brought to you by Locked On Podcast Network. Talk about your favorite teams every day. I am Vinny Rottino. You can follow me on Twitter at Vinny Rottino, and also check me out on the pre and post game show during the season for Bally Sports Wisconsin. Also, make sure you follow at Locked On Brewers on Twitter and subscribe to the Locked On Brewers podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And thanks for making Locked On Brewers your first listen every day. We post episodes daily, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and we are free and available on all platforms. Coming to you plausibly live from Realtor Maggie's basement. Make sure you hit her up, Maggie Rottino, on Instagram, or she will shut this whole operation down very, very quickly. This is Interrogation Tuesday. Still working the kinks out on that for the name on that one, but I think we'll go with it for now. It has a nice little ring to it, I think. I think it puts the guest on edge a little bit. I like it so far, but until further notice, Interrogation Tuesday it is. And so, as I said, look, Brian Anderson is here with me today. If you missed the show yesterday, I wanted to let you know exactly what Brian Anderson and Dom Catronio did for me. You heard the show. I got ridiculed, virtually tarred and feathered on Twitter for my sound quality. The first couple shows that I did host, it was awful. I was recording on 1997 earbuds, and BA comes to the house, come like a couple of him and Dom Catronio come like a couple of superheroes, Batman and Robin, fixed up my basement, gave me state-of-the-art equipment. They gave me the microphone. Obviously the earbuds here and everything. I mean, everything's sounding amazing. Do want to thank you, BA. How you doing today?
Of course, man. I'm so impressed. You've become this media mogul now. Look at you. You've got a proper studio and proper equipment. You've kind of turned into a media darling. So is this where the tables turn here? Is this where all those years when I interviewed you and you played for the Brewers and when you're scouting and now you're going to interview me? Have you prepared for this interview?
That's what it is. Well, I did prepare a couple of minutes before. I think I asked you what to ask you. So here we go. Here we go. I think fans are going to really like this show. I mean, we're going to talk about what Brian Anderson, who he is and how he came to be. And I think everyone loves your story. So, I mean, can we just kind of get into that a little bit and tell us, like, how did you get to be where you are? And who is Brian Anderson, the broadcaster? Is just a remarkable story. I've heard it a couple of times, and share with us.
Well, I always wanted to play. My older brother, Mike, who you know very well, was a player. He's 5 years older. So when I kind of got into my adult years, so, when I'm graduating from high school, going to college, my first 2 years of college, I was on a baseball scholarship and I played baseball. And at that time, I was thinking, this is 1990, 1991. I'm still thinking maybe I'll be good enough to play professionally, and that's still a dream that I have, and I want to do that. But, it was about my sophomore, junior year, I realized that I wasn't going to be good enough to go to the next level. So a little bit of panic set in. Also, at that same time, the worst thing that could have happened actually became the best thing that could have happened. My college that I played for, Southwestern University at the time in Georgetown, Texas, kind of an NAI powerhouse. Guys like Mike Timlin, Mike Stanton, my brother Mike were all part of that organization. Scott Terry, if you go back a little bit further. All part of that university. So, but they decided after my sophomore year, it's kind of in the middle of my sophomore year, that they were going to drop scholarships and go Division III. And I wanted to continue to play at a higher level, and I quickly pivoted and I transferred to St. Mary's University in San Antonio. I'd been recruited by Charlie Miggle, who was the head coach there at St. Mary's. They shared the field with the Double-A team, the San Antonio Missions, who at that time were a Dodgers affiliate. So I really love the vibe of that. And I didn't go there initially because they had a catcher named Tim Goins, whose nephew plays in the big leagues. So I just felt like I wasn't going to play much, and I had a chance to play at this other university. So, long story short, I ended up transferring, and during that process, um, I decided to just like soul search and go into this deep dive of what I really wanted to do with my life, and kind of came out of it still playing baseball. We were the number one team in the nation in AIA baseball. We had a very good team. I enjoyed playing. And at the same time, I was able to kind of pivot and go from a business major and go into communications. So they didn't really offer a journalism degree at St. Mary's. So I was an English communications major transferring from business. And so that really changed my life. And then getting to San Antonio, which would have been the summer of '91, I the San Antonio Spurs have training camp at St. Mary's as I'm arriving. The minor league baseball season's going on. It just felt like a whole world opened up to me at that point. So, my mind was thinking, all right, I can either like I'm going to play it out my last 2 years, enjoy playing. We've got a great team. Um, and then I'm going to start pursuing some of these other opportunities, whether it be a baseball scout, which was like a real possibility at one point, or go into broadcasting and start to try to figure all this out. And that's kind of how it all started. And I had no training. Like if I was a musician, you would say that he has no formal training. I don't read the notes. I just kind of launched myself into it. I started recording play by play on a Radio Shack tape recorder of minor league baseball games because I was right there, living right there at St. Mary's, and the minor league baseball team was still, finishing up their season. So now fast forward all the way around to the next summer, I competed in my junior year. I was a starting catcher and had a great season, went to the playoffs, the whole bit. Now school's over, and I decided to stay in San Antonio, and I took an internship working at a studio, running camera, and I learned how to do everything, graphics, camera, all the tech stuff. And I was able to continue this process of recording games just on my own, but I got to know those guys a little better. I helped run, like pull the tarp and be on the grounds crew for the minor league baseball team, and was starting to, network a little bit with those guys. And so fast forward to the next summer. Now I've graduated. Now my playing career is over, which ended in the NAI College World Series, and my career's over. And now I've kind of been doing some of this ancillary work and some of this tech work. And sure enough, the Missions had a job open, and they wanted me to be the number two broadcaster with the minor league baseball team right there that I had been with the last 2 years, and like sharing the same ballpark and all that. So I was really lucky. I had a decision to make whether I wanted to go to scouting school with the Cincinnati Reds or go into broadcasting for $25 a game.
Wow.
And set up the equipment and call the middle three innings. So at age 22, I did that. And, I can't, I'd love to say the rest is history, but the fast story after that was 9 years of minor league baseball, some college basketball sprinkled in, high school football in Texas on the radio. As my profile is building and I'm getting more comfortable and getting better, I add San Antonio Spurs sideline. I work for ESPN doing like the AA All-Star game and the AAA All-Star game and Little League World Series regionals, things like that. So I'm kind of just over a process of about 5 or 6 years, kind of slowly getting different gigs and different opportunities, and like busting through paper ceilings. And then that culminated in '99 in the full-time Spurs sideline reporter job, which was another huge break for me, because that was the first year the Spurs won the championship, the first of their 5 championships, NBA titles. That's basically when the dynasty started, was '99. So I was a part of that whole group, still doing minor league baseball. And then in 2003, I got a huge break to do live golf on national television for Golf Channel, 25, 30 events a year, 4 days a week on TV. So that was a big break. I left the minor league job. I did Golf Channel and the Spurs. That went down for about 4 years, from 03, 04, 5, 6, and then 2007 I got the Brewers job, and then in 2008 I got hired to do Turner TBS. I did the playoffs that year. 2008 actually did the Brewers and the Phillies, and then that has just slowly grown to kind of get where I'm at now. I just finished my 15th year with the Brewers and my 14th year with Turner Sports, and it took a long time to get to the big league level, but once I got there, things happened fast. And I like to say it's because I spent all those years in the minor leagues and over 1,200 games and doing it all by myself, setting up the equipment and just exactly what we were doing in your house. Basically the same setup, but doing that, tearing it down, calling a game, the whole bit. So, I feel very, very fortunate to have gone the path that I did. I don't know anybody who's taken that path, but I'm glad I went down that path, because I do feel more well-rounded and versed and ready for any opportunity that comes my way, because I've kind of gone through so many different iterations of being a broadcaster in my life.
Truly, truly amazing. I mean, it's truly a story of just grinding it out. I mean, you didn't necessarily play baseball, but you lived the life of the grinder, that guy that's just going to knock down every single wall that is in front of him. And I mean, it's truly an inspiring story, BA. I mean, I love hearing that. I don't think I've heard it to that, level of detail ever before. And it really is cool to hear. It's very, very inspiring. And obviously, just listening to it, you're so accomplished, and you're obviously going to continue to be accomplished, and you're not a rising star anymore in the industry. I mean, you are a star, and it's so cool that you are on your hands and knees in my basement 3 days ago.
Well, actually, that to me feels normal to me. Like, being on camera, being on television, that still doesn't feel normal, even though I've done it for, almost 30 years now. What feels normal is just kind of getting into it, and not worrying about maybe the result, but I'm a huge process guy, and I learned this. I wasn't always that way. When I first started, my only goal was to just kind of live the life of a professional baseball player / person. Now, I was the broadcaster, but part of what got me hired is the fact that I played college baseball, and they needed somebody to throw batting practice and catch bullpens, and I did that. I remember catching Chan Ho Park's first bullpen in the United States, or at Double-A anyway. He had been at spring training, but I caught his first bullpen. Bert Hooton was the pitching coach, and I was throwing batting practice. I mean, for the first 5 years, I would throw the first group of BP, go shower, and go up to the radio booth. When we had Louis Tion as a pitching coach, he couldn't throw, so I threw the first 2 groups of batting practice, and John Shelby was the manager, T-Bone. So I did all that. I was living the dream, but I was not even thinking about a future. It was just more like, whoa, this is cool, I'll do that. This is cool, I'll do that. Pull bags, $1 a bag off the bus, I'll do that. So it was almost like I'll just do any of this stuff. But then there was a time, when I had to bear down. It's probably about the time, when I was already married. I got married right out of college, and my wife Michelle and I were talking about a future. Like, what are we doing? What do I do?
Yeah.
I have a college degree, and all my friends have mortgages and big jobs, and I'm here toiling away as a minor league broadcaster. And that's when I really got serious, and I started, probably 3 years in, and then another level 5 years in, where I really started to focus on the craft, and let's improve every single day. Dive into that process. Don't worry about the comparative thinking, how others are getting jobs, how others are moving up. And my brother was really influential in that, because I remember at one point, you'll recognize this statement because it's a common thing for ball players to hear. But I can remember complaining about like, this guy's getting this job, and I'm still stuck here in AA, and just complaining about it and feeling like
Yeah.
I'm getting a bad break. And I remember him saying, well, why not just start announcing better? Just start being better at your job. Like
Love it.
what he used to tell pitchers, start pitching better if you don't like
Yeah.
AA, start pitching better and start announcing better. And that was always like a theme of ours as we went on. I was just really it hit me right between the eyes. Like, yeah, there's things I'm not doing that I could be doing to improve every single day.
Yeah.
And that's listening to my games and listening back and trying to improve my voice quality and my breath support and all the mechanical things that go into it. So it was not like a smooth path. It was
Sure.
a lot of paranoia. There was a lot of, I quit one year. I quit
wow.
broadcasting in 99. Not many people know that. I actually gave it up. I couldn't take it anymore. I was stuck in the minor leagues. I was doing 140 games a year on the buses, throwing batting practice. And I was just ragged, and I was gone a lot. And I had a daughter that was born that year. So I quit. I was like, that's it, I'm done. And then I came right back in 2000 and started up again. So it was not a smooth path at all. But, I did keep focused on every day, try to be a little bit better. And then if you stack all those, if you think about the beer bottles coming down the assembly line, ultimately you're going to have a whole, uh, uh, a book of achievements and failures, but that just gets bigger and bigger. But stay in the now. Stay as those bottles come down. Keep it, paying attention to the next bottle that's in front of you. I have that Laverne and Shirley thought in my mind,
Yeah.
the open where the bottles keep coming. So that's kind of how I did it. And that's when things really changed for me, when I got serious about being a professional broadcaster, even though I was being paid. Like, really be intentional about studying the craft, improving the craft, talking to people who know the craft, and then applying that in my own way. So that probably came along about 97. I started in 94, 96, 97, and then really in 99 is when I got really serious.
Truly inspiring. It really, really is, BA. I could hear that story seriously a million times, because that's the life, I wanted to live myself, in terms of trying to become a major leaguer and stick in the major leagues. And I do want to follow up some more, but I am a novice rookie podcaster, and I have to read this live read real quick. So
do it, man. I can't wait to hear it.
Sit back and enjoy. More from BA, but first, BetOnline has you covered all season. More props, odds, and lines than ever before as the football season continues to march to the playoffs. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the sports action this season. Head to our new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use your promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus. From basketball, football, NHL, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts.
It's beautiful,
I see the tear rolling down your eyes, but one more. DirecTV, get your TV together. Today, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all your entertainment you love without the hassle. DirecTV Stream brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, which means you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. And the best part, there's no annual contract, so stop waiting and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more about DirecTV at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. So again, I did see a tear streaming down your face. BA,
ultimately, you're going to learn that you can insert those pieces.
It's
called editing. But the fact you did it live, I think your sponsors are going to love that, Vinny. I think this is your thing. You're like the Mannings. You're like the the Wisconsin version of the Mannings. The little bit of awkwardness that you have about some of the stuff really makes it entertaining for me and everybody else.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right. But no, I actually enjoy doing this. I do feel like, like everything you just said, that's how I feel right now. I do want to get really, really good at this. And I really appreciate your mentorship in along the way so far. And I know I've only been doing it for the last, 8 months, ever since the 2021 season started for the Brewers, and obviously doing the pre and post game show. It was an absolute blast. And if anybody doesn't know that story, it's all because of Brian Anderson. I was a colleague of his brother, Mike Anderson, with the Texas Rangers when I scouted, and Brian kind of mentioned I couldn't scout anymore, right? My 2-year-old daughter a couple of years ago told me thanks for visiting when I came home one day for a few days during the season. So I had to figure out something else to do. But yeah, Brian said that he thought I would be pretty decent at broadcasting. And yeah, I mean, he's been mentoring me kind of ever since. And that's it's just the kind of guy, it's a testament to the kind of guy you are, Brian. I really, really do appreciate it more than you know.
Well, one thing I'll say too, it's not like, and it's important for people to know this, I don't do that as just a favor because I know you, because the reason I wanted to lean into you and your next phase is because you bring something that we really have never had. You and Tim Dillard both, and so we've had a lot of conversations about, okay, where do we go with Brewers broadcasting, and where can we take this? And one thing that we talked about, and Bill Schroeder was heavily involved in this too. It's like we have enough people that just want to parachute in and maybe be present for a week, a series, or whatever. There's plenty of people to do that. It's really hard to find the individuals that live in Wisconsin like you do, lived out your dream, playing for the team you grew up rooting for, had a big league career, played all over. So for me, it was almost the reverse of my career, where you have all the knowledge, the content, the experience. You've seen and done pretty much everything in this game, and I've heard you deliver it. I've heard you teach. I've heard you do all that. And so, yes, the mechanics of actually wearing a microphone, knowing where the talk button is, condensing your thoughts. I'm actually going through the same kind of thing right now with Stan Van Gundy. We have the exact same conversations on the NBA on TNT I have with Stan Van Gundy that I've had with you. Again, the knowledge well is very deep, and that's great for our fans and people who watch you all year. You and Tim Dillard both realize that, like, there's something special about you two. You guys both killed the pre and post game. You totally home run this thing, and you took us to places we had never been. The analytics discussions, making sense of the analytics, getting into breakdowns and teaching us about mechanics, and that stuff's really important. And as the season went on, I just could not have been more impressed with you, and only cemented my thought that you've got a chance to be a star in this industry. And so I did it for selfish reasons, and I did it for Brewers fans because I've always been searching for individuals who can be part of our group and deliver great entertainment and knowledge to our fans. And so you kind of checked all the boxes for me. The boxes you didn't check were things that we could easily fix with repetition and experience. And I would say most players, most people, and I have trained up a ton of former athletes to be broadcasters, including guys like Sean Elliott and, with the Spurs, and just a ton of guys over the years. And so I think it's really important that when you have the knowledge base and you have a way to deliver, and, you're kind of endless in how deep you can go in a game. You can go as far as people would be probably willing to go because the way you've seen the game your whole career. So I thought that was more important than anything else. All the other stuff takes care of itself. And then look at you, like you've taken on podcasting, and you're doing all this extra stuff that I never even dreamed of. and you're doing great. And so, like, you hosting your own show, editing all this stuff, setting up your own little studio, that's a big deal. And it shows that you have a lot of drive. It's kind of the overachiever syndrome that you've
Yeah.
always had. And that's another thing I knew, I knew you would do that, and Tim Dillard as well. So, I couldn't be happier for your success. And you're going to be a huge part of Brewers television, Brewers broadcasting for many years to come.
Well, that's very, very humbling for you to say that. So I appreciate. I'll just trust you that that will come about. But yeah, like you said, just kind of keep your nose to the grind, and every single day try and get better. I mean, and it is just the podcast is an everyday thing. So I will certainly get my reps here this off season, and then continue to during the year as well. So,
and you're doing a great service. I mean, I would want to listen to you. I do listen to you because I know we're getting into the off-season mode. There's stuff that you're going to know and you're going to be able to share that's very interesting, and nobody really has that kind of outlet. I mean, who has your experience? So I'm actually really looking forward to all of this. I'm honored to be your first guest. I guess technically I'm your interrogation here. But let me ask you a question. So
yeah.
How close to an at-bat in the big leagues or a pressure moment with a runner at first, you're catching and you got to throw a guy out, like how close is that to stepping behind the mic and coming on television on Bally Sports Wisconsin for the first time? Like, do you still get a little goose out of being on TV?
You know what? The first time, looking back, and I think that I did just less than okay. I was below average my first few times on TV. And in fact, people told me that I was not very good at first, which was I'm fine with, because I finished up pretty strong, and I got a lot more comfortable on camera in delivering what I wanted to deliver. Obviously, continue to work on things, but that first time I was fairly nervous. I mean, my first at bat in the big leagues, however, there's nothing like that. I mean,
you can't even swallow, right? Like you can get no.
It's literally walking from the on deck circle to the batter's box, left, right. I'm telling you, you have to remind yourself how to walk to the plate. It was so nerve wracking. It was 40,000 fans with 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth. And the Brewers,
for your hometown team, right?
For hometown team.
Would it have been easier if you were with another team, you think?
I do think that would have been easier. Yes. Yeah. In fact, when I got over to New York, and Terry Collins let me play a little bit more than just, a September call up, pat on the back. And that's kind of what it was for me every single year that I did get called up. Terry Collins, like, hey, we're going to need you against left-handed pitchers. And I loved hitting against left-handed pitchers. So that made me feel like I finally made it to the big leagues that year in 2012 for the Mets. So,
I mean, there is a correlation where, and you could even go back, if you want to go like biblical, you can go back to the New Testament and even Jesus himself talking about moving away from his hometown to actually be what you're supposed to be. I had that in my career. I left. I could not get any traction in San Antonio as far as play-by-play. They just didn't see me that way. They didn't see me as a play-by-play announcer. Remember, I'd been a cameraman for them, and then I'd done graphics. They had seen me as kind of a tech. They threw me a bone with the sideline job. I was supposed to do one game as a fill-in. I ended up doing 10. Then I got the full-time job, and they're like, yeah, I guess you can't hurt us in that role. But they never really had it in their mind that in your terminology, I was a big leaguer, right? I was a play-by-play guy. And it's funny because, maybe that was the case with you in Milwaukee, like you had come up. And also, do you notice when you do leave and you're kind of out there on your own? And when I went to Golf Channel, and certainly when I came to Milwaukee, I felt like it was a brand new training ground. Like it was a new palette that I was working with. Nobody really knew me. They didn't really know my background. This is where I started with them. And like you go to the Mets, you're just a big league ball player that's going to play against left-handed pitching, and that changes your mindset too. It's like if we could only capture that and change our mindset before all the demons get in there, maybe we would be better for that. But I did find it so much easier when I left my hometown and went elsewhere because I didn't have all that burden of what I had been. I still get nervous when I go to San Antonio and do an NBA game
That's
because
funny.
it puts me right back in that place
Yeah.
when I was a handheld cameraman, saying to myself, I wonder if I can ever do play-by-play.
Yeah.
And I go right back, and Greg Popovich is still the coach, so of
Yeah.
course he was there when I was doing that. But I go right back to that mental place, when I'm 20 years old. So it's still it freaks me out a little bit
Yeah.
to go to San Antonio, even though I've called, you know, big games in front of 20 million fans and all this. When I go back to San Antonio, I feel like a 21-year-old inexperienced novice at this and kind of have to check myself a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's 100%. I mean, as soon as I left, Milwaukee and kind of toiled around in AAA and get called up, for sure, you just feel a little bit different. So yeah, I mean, I think that that's a really good, connection there and analogy to what a player experiences for sure. So speaking of that, so what about Milwaukee? I mean, everyone loves to hear that you're sticking around, and and being, my first guest, I do have to watch time here. I think this is the last question here, BA, but everyone loves the idea that you just continue to tout how much you love Milwaukee
Mm-hmm.
and you're staying here. I mean, look, I love it. I'm born and raised here. But you're a Texas guy and you just love Milwaukee and love Wisconsin, and everyone loves hearing it on the broadcast, and it's authentic. It comes through as that's, you really have a place in your heart for this place, and that's so cool. And so tell us more. Are you sticking around for
Yeah.
the long haul? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I just signed a contract extension. My games are gonna drop, so I'm only gonna be able to do about 50 games a year now. Jeff Levering is gonna move into the primary TV role. He'll be doing over 100 games. Huge opportunity for him. He's ready. He deserves it. He's been,
Yeah.
he has been pursued by a number of major league teams. He's shown incredible loyalty by wanting to stay, and I don't want to lose Jeff, and it's really important that he continue to further his career as well. So I do love Milwaukee. My wife loves Milwaukee, which is most important. Uh, we weren't sure what it was going to be. We just took a leap of faith when we moved here in 2007. I got here first. I was here for about 3 months. Then my family came. My daughter was in second grade at the time. Now she's a senior at Marquette University, about to graduate in May. And we just fell in love with the place. I don't know what to say about it other than unless you've experienced it. And I was the cliche, why would anybody live there? It's so cold. I was totally in that camp, believe me.
Yeah.
I was
We're all in that
nervous
camp once in a while.
about living here. But after, starting in year 2, and then as things start going with the Brewers and how fun that was, how amazing the summers are, the summer and the fall, the lakes, the small town feel to a big city.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And this just is home, man. Like I've had a number of opportunities to leave with many different ball clubs and different networks. And my answer has always been no. And I do give the Brewers a lot of credit because they could have easily told me to hit the road at any point during this process. I mean, there were times when they had a decision to make. Do we want this guy around doing not the full schedule, but a partial schedule? And they decided that they wanted to work with me, and I certainly wanted to work with them. And I will stay with the Brewers as long as they'll have me. We have a great relationship, as you know, because you've gotten into it, but we have an incredible broadcasting department. And I'm not just talking about those you see on the air or hear on the air, but the people around it, the support staff, our technicians, our operators, our camera folks, audio, graphics, on and up to like our executive branch. Like we have great communication. We're a real family.
Yeah.
And you got to experience that. And that's rare. That is very rare. Our owner, Mark Ananasio, comes to our crew party every year. Yeah. And I can tell you, the number is 1 for owners to come to a television crew party around any professional sports. Every network has crew parties at the end of seasons, every sport. One owner, our owner, not only comes but wants to come and says a few words and hangs around and has a beer with the crew and answers questions and is usually the last one to leave. So I just found that, like, it's just the coolest thing in the world to be able to experience that. So it's a really special place to me. And if the Brewers told me to take a hike, I would still live here, and I'd probably be a season ticket holder and be a big fan. But I'm glad I get to stay a part of the organization.
That's so cool. No, we love having you as you're officially, I think 15 years is the cheeser cutoff.
That's
so
right.
now you are considered a cheeser.
I feel a cheeser.
But BA, this was so awesome. Thank you so much for everything, first of all. But obviously, thank you for coming on the show today. This was a blast. I will listen to this back and many times because I love hearing the story. But it was a pleasure to have you on, and thank you.
You're welcome, man. Keep up the great work. We're glad you're part of it. Way to hustle. Way to overachieve. And I hope this podcast blows up because it's you're going to deliver some great content, man. I love the way you think about the game. I love the way you see the game. I learned a lot from you this year watching the Bally Sports Wisconsin pre and post game. So I'm really excited that you're taking on this venture, Vinny. Way to go, bud.
Awesome. Thanks, BA. Really cool episode there, guys. And that'll do it for the Locked On Brewers podcast. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Locked On Brewers, and you can follow me at Vinny Rottino. Also, make sure you subscribe to Locked On Brewers podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, and we will talk to you next time.